So this video provides an overview and analysis of Hamlet Act 2, Scene 1. Act 2 of Hamlet begins with a long conversation between Polonius and a man named Rinaldo. Polonius has hired Rinaldo to go to France to spy on his son Laertes. Polonius instructs Rinaldo to strike up conversations with people who may know Laertes and casually attempt to elicit information about what Polonius' son has been up to. Polonius tells Rinaldo that he might imply that he's heard Laertes has been involved with various types of mischief, and see if that causes the person he's talking to reveal gossip about any real mischief that Laertes may actually have been up to. Although this scene is often omitted from performances of the play, it contains a famous line that relates closely to the thematic structure of the play. Polonius suggests that lying can be a way of eliciting the truth, reassuring Rinaldo that your bait of falsehood may help him to catch a carp of truth. Hamlet's enemies, specifically Claudius, Gertrude, Laertes, Rosencrantz, and Guildenstern, and Polonius, have a habit of making excuses for their duplicity and dishonesty, for justifying their deceitfulness through all kinds of rationalizations and excuses. Back in Act 1, when Gertrude had asked Hamlet why he seems so sad about his father's death, Hamlet had responded that he doesn't seem sad, he is sad, insisting on his identity as someone who is what he appears to be, a vector of truth in a cosmos of illusion and mendacity. But after his encounter with the ghost, Hamlet becomes increasingly involved in dissimulating his feelings and intentions, first by swearing Horatio and the guards to secrecy, then, by the end of Act 2, in his elaborate plan to see if staging a fake representation of his father's murder in a theatrical performance, a bait of falsehood, might elicit a real emotional reaction from Claudius to provide proof of his guilt, a carp of truth. Hamlet will spend much of Act 2, Scene 2, belittling and mocking Polonius, characterizing him as a slow-witted, superannuated representation of empty authority. But in the macro structure of Act 2, Hamlet and Polonius actually pursue parallel strategies of surveillance and manipulation. One way of understanding Hamlet's madness is that acting mad or going mad is Hamlet's way out of the conflict between his personal value of being honest and the plot-based necessity of being deceitful, since as a mad and cryptic satirist, he can say things that are true and inscrutable at the same time. You could say the same thing about theater itself, which is a way of using fake stories and people to evince emotional and existential truths. As Polonius is saying goodbye to Reynaldo, Polonius's daughter Ophelia rushes on stage to tell Polonius about a strange and disturbing encounter she has just had with our hero. Hamlet came into her chamber, she says, with all his clothes messed up, his pants unbuttoned, his socks dirty, looking, she says, as if he had been loosed out of hell to speak of horrors. Hamlet didn't say anything to her, but just looked at her intensely for a few anguished moments before backing away and exiting her room again. What's going on? Well, the reference to the idea that Hamlet looks like he'd seen a ghost suggests that Hamlet might be in some kind of state of shock from his encounter with the ghost. Maybe this is his shell-shocked way of saying goodbye to Ophelia, since he sees now that he's in a revenge tragedy and not a romantic comedy. Polonius and Ophelia suspect that this is Hamlet's forlorn way of expressing his grief that Ophelia, in accordance with her father's command, has broken up with Hamlet. Or maybe the fact that Ophelia broke up with Hamlet is connected in Hamlet's mind with Gertrude's betrayal of Hamlet's father. And this is Hamlet's way of dealing with the pain of feeling like all love, maternal, marital, and romantic, has revealed itself to be false and worthless. Maybe this is part of his strange plan to make everybody think he's mad. If that's what Hamlet is doing, it totally works. Or maybe it's Hamlet's way of trying to let Ophelia know that he's in this strange situation with having to kill his uncle, but he still loves her and wants her to know it on some level at least. We don't know. Ophelia doesn't know. Polonius doesn't know. Maybe even Hamlet doesn't know. In the same way that Polonius maneuvered to spy on Laertes, Polonius insists that Ophelia bring this news to the king so that they can get to the bottom of what's going on with Hamlet.